Today we're going to talk about gamification and behavioral design for growth. And just a quick background on myself, I started my journey in gamification in 2003, so 21 years ago, maybe an early pioneer in the industry. I was rated the #1 gamification guru in the world 3 out of 4 years. 1 year I was second, and then later they made me a judge, so unfortunately I got disqualified to being a guru. Wrote a book called Actionable Gamification, sold a little over 100,000 copies. My second book, 10,000 Hours of Play, is coming out in a few months. And I teach a lot of this framework at places like Harvard, Stanford, Yale, Oxford, Tesla, Google IDEO, and my design work has reached over 1.5 billion users. So again, here's some examples of companies we work with. When some people hear about gamification, they think it's all about working with the gaming companies, but in fact, the companies that need this the most are the companies that are doing important things, but potentially boring, mundane, or intimidating. So we got a lot of projects in healthcare, finance, education, sometimes just things that are very, very competitive, like retail or e-commerce. App promotion, definitely one of those too. Again, wrote a book, Actionable Gamification. If this talk is interesting, you can check it out at ukaisha.com/books, just takes you to Amazon. And for those who don't like to read a book, I also have a platform to watch videos. Not gonna go through the quotes, but you can see that a VP at Google and executive director at IDEO, co-founder of Ethereum, all have very good things to say about working with me and what we do. And this is Octalysis Prime. It's a gamified island to learn about gamification. So I made 1,200 videos there, and people have been engaged with that. So the main thing I want to share with you today is something called the Octalysis Framework. And it's called the Octalysis because it's the combination between the word octagon and analysis. And this is something I published on my blog, ukaisha.com, in 2012. And it was instantly picked up. So it was translating organically into, I think, 16 different languages. And that's where I get a lot of my opportunities to do design and consulting work. So inside, there's the 8 core drives that motivate all our behavior. And outside, there's an example list, not exhaustive list, of different game design techniques and strategies that can bring out those 8 core drives. Now, this is a pretty busy chart. So at the beginning, we only focus on the middle. So what's unique about these 8 core drives is that everything we do, inside or outside of a game, is based on one or more of these 8 core drives, which means that if there's none of these 8 core drives there, there's zero motivation. No behavior happens. Each and one of you are here because of one of these 8 core drives. Some people are here because of core drive 7, unpredictability and curiosity. It's like, hey, you know, what is this whole thing about? I'm curious, I'm listening. And some people are here because of core drive 5, social influence and relatedness. Hey, a friend invited me to this, or a colleague told me about it, so I sign up. I imagine many of you are here because of a core drive 2, development and accomplishment. Hey, I actually want to do my job better, I want to level up and achieve more mastery. Occasionally we have people in the room here because of core drive 1, epic meaning and calling, which is, hey, I really believe this can change the world, and you know, this is the future, I want to be part of it. When I go to different countries and do talks, there's also core drive 6, scarcity and impatience, which is about, hey, this speaker only comes to my country once a year, so I better reprioritize my schedule to go to that. And sometimes when I do internal corporate talks, some people are there just because of core drive 8, loss and avoidance. I don't want to get fired, so I show up. Now, hopefully that's not your motivations, or at least not the main motivation. But the clear thing is, without these 8 core drives, nothing happens. You wouldn't be here, I'm not here, your customers are not buying, your employees are not working, nothing happens. And when I created the framework in 2012, I just wanted a tool to help companies solve problems. I didn't have any ambitions in academia. But now if you go to Google Scholar and you search for Octalysis, you'll see over 3,000 PhD theses, academic journals, all applying to a variety of different categories. So just feel very, very blessed. I feel very blessed that what I came up with out of intellectual curiosity not only stands strong in the commercial world, but also the academia world. So we're going to go through what the 8 core drives are. I'm going to walk through a quick example of all of them. Some of them are our own case studies, some are just public things out there. And then we're going to talk about the different natures of these 8 core drives. Some of them are what we call white hat motivation core drives. It makes people feel powerful, in control, they feel good, but there's no sense of urgency, so they procrastinate. And then there's what we call black hat motivation core drives that give people a sense of urgency. Sometimes they feel obsessed, even addicted, but they could burn out because they feel like they're not in control of their own behavior. And then we're going to talk about the difference between intrinsic motivation core drives and extrinsic motivation core drives. So the first core drive is epic meaning and calling. So this basically says we feel motivated because we are part of something bigger than ourselves. And this is why, for instance, people contribute to Wikipedia. We all know that people don't make money when they contribute to Wikipedia, but they don't even do it to advance their resumes, and update their careers. A lot of people spend a few hours every day after work updating and contributing Wikipedia because they believe in protecting humanity's knowledge, something bigger than themselves. And you'll often see this theme in games, right? It's like, hey, the world's about to end, but somehow you're the only person qualified to save the world. And so it feels very engaging, very motivating. So anytime a company does something that says, hey, by using the product, by downloading an app, you will contribute, you will make the world a better place. Either it's honor, faith, patriotism, sustainability, it all works. So one example is Ant Financial, Alipay. So they're one of the biggest payment apps in China. And when you think about payments, very transactional, right? Not fun. But they have a system where when you use the app, you can plant some virtual trees in their virtual environment. But most importantly, they can also plant real trees in the real world. And so now people think, hey, I can do transactions anywhere I want, but when I'm using Alipay, I'm actually changing the world, making it a better place. And so as of 2021, there were 326 million more trees planted in China because of this Alipay ant forest. And with my limited knowledge in ecology, I believe that an extra 300 million trees in the world benefits all human beings. Core drive 2 is development and accomplishment. This is the drive that says we feel motivated because we're improving ourselves, we're leveling up, we're achieving mastery. And so most of the points and badges you may have heard in the gamification world fall into this core drive. Points are just mathematical counters. It shows a sense of progression. And so even though you're doing the same things over and over again, at least you see this number getting bigger and bigger, or this progress bar going longer and longer, and you feel like you're getting somewhere. Badges are what we call achievement symbols. It symbolizes a sense of accomplishment. So badges can be, or achievement symbols in general, can be in many different forms. It could be badges, could be trophies, helmets, uniform changes, black belt, white belt in martial arts, and also that has borrowed itself into Six Sigma with quality management. But the key thing is that it must symbolize an accomplishment. If you give people a badge for every silly thing they do, it's just an icon, right? It has no meaning. You have to build the experience so that people actually feel proud of what the badge represents, and so they want to tell people about it, and therefore you get your viral marketing and viral coefficients. So this is a client of ours called Full Dive. They're a mobile browser, much like Safari or Chrome, and through blockchain technology, they allow people to go and gather different resources, and they get paid as they browse the web. So they no longer feel like they are wasting their time browsing the internet. They feel like they're increasing their assets, they're getting somewhere, and they feel pretty powerful. So this is a quote straight from the CEO. They said after working with us, their app store rating increased from 4.1 to 4.7 stars. Their downloads went from 600,000 to 2.7 million. And most importantly, in my opinion, their weekly retention went from 12% to 29%. And the key is that, obviously, for all these examples, we did a lot of things. I'm just quickly showcasing a single tip of the iceberg of what we did. But the key is that more than double the people wanted to come back every day because on every step, they feel more accomplished and they feel good about the experience. Core Drive 3 is empowerment of creativity and feedback. So this is kind of like Lego. You give users the basic building blocks, and there's an infinite amount of ways for them to utilize their creativity, try different strategies, see feedback, and then adjust. And it's a very engaging process. So this core drive deals with things like meaningful choices, autonomy, self-expression, strategy. And later on, you'll see that it's on the right top of the octagon, which means it's a white hat, right brain core drive. And it's usually the longest lasting type of motivation as long as you can install it correctly. And we'll explore that a bit later. So this is another case study we have. It's with Porsche. We launched this in Austria. And so this kind of looks like a futuristic car racing game, right? But to play this game, you first need to own a Porsche. And based on how you drive your Porsche and how you interact with other Porsche drivers who have the app, you will get different resources to make your app look cooler, increase in status. It'll give you some little perks, but most importantly, it allows you to upgrade to your next Porsche more easily. And not just that, you can also upgrade to other cars in the Volkswagen family, because they also own a Bentley and Bugatti, etc. So the idea is that they wanted to have touch points directly to the consumer, because most of the time the consumer just interacts with the dealership or the car maintenance people or forums, not the car company itself. So what they saw is that the users spent 5.5 minutes every single day on the app, and they were not even allowed to use it while they were driving. So these Porsche drivers, they drive, they get off, and they're like, okay, let me go in the app and play with the stuff so I can customize my profile better. And so when people think, oh, customizing the avatar is just for kids, I'm pretty sure these Porsche drivers are not kids, and they still get really engaged with this. Core Drive 4 is ownership and possession. So this basically says because you feel like you own something, you want to improve it, you want to protect it, and you want to get more of it. So this deals with things like virtual goods and virtual currencies. It's also the drive that makes us want to collect stamps or baseball cards. It also has this more abstract things like if you spend a lot of time customizing your LinkedIn profile, your Dropbox folders, or the system's constantly learning about what you like Amazon recommendations or Netflix, you feel more attachment, hence ownership over that experience. So even if a new technology that comes out that's supposed to be better, we don't want to switch because that one doesn't understand me. This one does. This one's my system. And so this is another case study we have with this company called Poopery. Poopery is kind of like a toilet or a bathroom cleaning product. It prevents the bathroom from stinking up, etc. And it's usually not the fun, cool, sexy thing. But we helped them design something end of last year in the holiday seasons. We have them say, hey, when you buy these sprayers in the toilet, for the toilet, you get to tap with your phone, you get to download an app, and you get to play a white elephant game. Again, this is the holiday season last year. So you get to collect these virtual resources and people can steal it. There are different boosters to protect it, all that stuff. So people became really engaged with this mobile app to promote the usage of these products. And we saw that 90% of the people who purchased the bottles, they download the app. And then there was a 17% measurable increase in lifetime value. This is a little bit hard to measure because it's been so close. It's been like less than a year. But that's what they saw already based on year one performance. And they also saw that orders increased by 91% 3 months after event. And this is already a $500 million company, so these numbers are very significant. Core Drive 5 is social influence and relatedness. So this is everything you do based on what other people do, think, or say. So that deals with things like competition, collaboration, group quest, or in gifting. It also connects with something we call relatedness, which are things such as like nostalgia. Like if you see a product that reminds you of your childhood, you automatically have a higher chance of buying the product. If you meet someone from the same hometown, let's say you're working abroad, you have a higher chance of striking a deal with that person. And for this, a case study we have is we helped HTC Vive, which is a VR company, used to be a phone company, design an online, what we call an alternate reality game. And this one is pretty complex, but the key is that we motivated a whole community of people to come and figure things out together. So we set a futuristic theme, some epic meaning and calling, where in the future, you get a message from the future says, in the future, all creativity has been killed. And you have to come and we have to save creativity and create content and all that stuff. So obviously you can't read this, but we create a complex game loop of all the rules. People had to go around and solve problems that will, like for instance, this little poem. Again, not enough time to go through the details, but this poem will basically showcase a variety of stars arguing about who's the brightest in the sky. And once you actually do some research, you'll see, oh, okay, this shows a number, and if you piece together a bunch of numbers, you'll find a coordinate on the Google Maps. That coordinate leads you to a hotel in Dubai, and then it leads to other perks, et cetera, et cetera. So what we see is that a lot of people were really excited about this, and I've seen a lot of influencers in their Discord communities. They're working with 100 people saying, how do we solve this problem? What are the numbers? And they're all like saying, this is amazing, this is very cool. And so what we saw is that this campaign led to the front page conversion of HTC Vive 4,310%. Their email collection rate went up by 300%. Social media to web traffic increased by 384%. And most importantly for them, e-commerce revenue went up by 188%. Of course, I know this is not necessarily an app, but they took people to the website to buy. But the campaign itself, I think any app company can take advantage of and mobilize your users, get them to work together. These are group quests. Have them do a group competition and see who's the first team to win. We actually made all the teams different influencers on YouTube. So they were leading their followers to see who can solve these problems first. And many of them made videos about how they would solve the problem. Core Drive 6 is scarcity and impatience. So this is basically saying we want something simply because we can't have it. So if grapes are on the table, we don't really care about them. We might eat a few because it's convenient, but we don't value them. But if they're locked behind a glass shelf just beyond our reach, with a lot of bolts and locks around it, we're always thinking about them. You know, why are they locked there? Can I have them? When can I have them? Are they even sweet? And this is a core drive Facebook used when it first started, right? First, Facebook at the beginning said, thefacebook.com is only for Harvard students. If you didn't go to Harvard University, too bad, can't use Facebook. And then it says, you know, Facebook is for Harvard University and some Ivy League schools, as well as some other schools that your high school buddies got in, but you were not smart enough to get in, too bad. And then it opened up to more and more schools. So when I attended UCLA in 2004, that Facebook also opened to UCLA, everyone rushed in. Not because they already knew how great Facebook was, right? Because no one has ever used it, but that sheer exclusivity alone made people want to join. You're not allowed to come in? Okay, now you're allowed to come in, and people rush in. There's also this component about scarcity of opportunities. If you tell people do something a million times, they don't care, they don't want to do it, right? But if you place a limit, you can only do this 10 times or 3 times. People actually have desire, right? If you say, hey, please share with all your friends, then a lot of people will be like, okay, well, I know it's good for you, but how's it good for me? Are you going to pay me to do it? But when you say you only have 3 exclusive invite tickets, then people are going on their social media and saying, hey, who's a buddy of mine who wants my super exclusive 3 tickets to Clubhouse or Gmail, whatever it is, right? So by placing a limit to how many times people can do it, they actually do it, as opposed to saying, please do it as many times as you can. And this deals with another case study we have with LATAM Airlines. This is the biggest airline company in Latin America. And so they wanted to drive people to sign up to their the loyalty program with the app and sign up to a credit card within and redeem different rewards. And so what we first did is we put a scarcity in time, which is if you tell people they can sign up whenever they want, then people just procrastinate, right? They take forever. But if you say, hey, you have to sign up in the next day, in the next 10 minutes, people rush in to do it. And this is all 1-month campaign, so we couldn't let people wait forever anyway. And then we also let people know, hey, look, you're selected as 1% of the people that could join, which is actually true. I tell my clients to always say truthful things. But we were supposed to design for the whole audience, and midway through, someone said, no, this is risky, this is new, let's just do 1%. That was a crisis for us, but we turned it around into Core Drive 6 scarcity, and we said, yeah, you guys are selected as the 1%. So it kind of worked out. And it's all in Spanish, but people are really excited about this whole launch campaign. And what's unique is before, when they got YouTube comment, it was all about, oh, the flight was delayed, I lost my luggage. But people here were just really, really excited about everything. So when it comes to the numbers, the average email open rate was actually above 60%, which was huge for them. And the click to open rates increased by 280% compared to the other gamified things they've tried in the past, but 1,300% compared to the traditional campaigns they tried. Their teaser video engagement rate was 2.5%, which may not sound like a lot, but historically their average was 0.014%, so we increased by 178 times. And because of that, within that month, we got 160,000 unique visitors doing 8 million transactions. Actually, on day 1, we actually crashed the LATAM airline website because they didn't expect that 1%, right, created so much load. So it kind of was bad and good at the same time. It was good. We looked good, but the IT team didn't look so good. And the miles accumulation increased by 123%. The credit card acquisitions increased by 153%. And redemption of alternative products skyrocketed for 1,400%. Again, each of these are 1-hour case studies. I'm just running through them really quickly. Core Drive 7 is unpredictability and curiosity. So this is basically saying, because we don't know what's going to happen next, we're always thinking about it. So this is heavily utilized in the gambling industry, but whenever you have a sweepstakes program, a lottery system, a raffle ticket system, you have this core drive. It's also the drive that makes us want to finish a book or a movie, which is why we don't like spoilers. And this connects to the gamified island I talked about called Octalysis Prime. So people come in every day and they watch my 1,200 videos teaching about gamification, behavioral design. And every day they come in, they can open a treasure box, which will give them an unpredictable amount of what we call Chou coins. So they first do that, but every time they come back, there's also a 40% chance that something different will appear on the island. In this case, there's a little thing on the top. If you go to that area, you'll see a little blue wolf, and it'll ask you a gamification question. So it's like, this company has this problem, how would you solve it? Now, if you get it right, you will capture this Geomon, and it goes into your Geomon album, and each one holds a gamification lesson. But if you get it wrong, it will run away. So I remember there was a member who once stumbled upon a mystical Geomon, a leprechaun, which only has a 1% chance of showing up. And he was really excited, but then he got the question wrong. So the leprechaun ran away, and it scarred him for years. And so he was like, I have to study all the videos now, like watch all of it, because I never want this experience to happen again. And over the years, he caught more mystical Geomons, even legendary ones, which I think is a 0.2% chance of showing, but he always remembers that first. And so because of this, Octalysis Prime has a daily active user over monthly active user of 38%. So roughly means if people come in at least once a month, they kind of care about it. 38% of them come in every single day. And you can see actually in the background, there's the leaderboard. Remember I said you can only capture 1 to 2 a day. So every 12 hours, there's a 40% chance you can stumble upon one. The number one on our leaderboard has 1,700 of these Geomons that he captured. So it's literally like 4 or 5 years of coming in every single day. Core Drive 8 is a loss and avoidance. So it's pretty straightforward. You're doing something to avoid a loss. You don't want something bad to happen. It's the fear core drive and the fear of missing out core drive. And remember the poopery that we talked about? So they were really happy with our engagement last year. So this year they wanted us to gamify their event marketing at South by Southwest, which I'm sure lots of app companies are there too. And as you know, South by Southwest, 200,000 people are there with like 10, 20 blocks in Austin, Texas. And they're competing with gaming companies, with photo companies, right? With a lot of media companies. And this is a bathroom product, okay? Not so fun, right? Not so great. But if you've ever been to these huge festivals, and that have like 20 blocks and all that stuff, what do you hate the most? The porta potties, right? The bathrooms all stink, they're dirty, everyone hates it. So we leverage that to say, well, let's leverage the core drive loss and avoidance. So what they did is they installed many, or they have trucks, these 5-star amazing bathrooms in the conference, but not everyone can get in. You have to first get the app, you have to go check in at their booth and do different things, and then you'll get a unique code that's rotating, and that allows you to get in. So suddenly people are like, wow, this is a great company, more interesting and more useful than the other gaming booths that we've been to. So we saw just from that one conference alone, we had more than 500,000 interactions, engagement rate went up by 71%, 20,000 people, so that's 10% of the total registration of the conference, RSVP for their own event because they have their podcasting and whatnot. 83% of the people indicated they're much more likely to purchase the product after the event. And we couldn't measure it because this is literally just like a few months ago. But if you have an event-based marketing, everyone out there, right, the sponsors, the best case scenario is people all saying, yeah, I would love to buy your product. That's like a huge thing to get here. And then 95% of them rated the experience as excellent on the app. And then they also allow you to find clean apps, clean bathrooms. So this is the Octalysis Framework. And again, it's worth reminding that everything we do is based on one or more of these 8-core drives, which means that if there's none of these 8-core drives there, there's zero motivation, no behavior happens. But it's also listed on the octagon shape for a reason. The left side, we call them left brain core drives. It doesn't mean it's geographically on the left side of the brain, but it symbolically represents our logical brain versus the right brain core drive that symbolically represents our emotional brain. Now, what's interesting is that the left brain core drives deal with extrinsic motivation, things you do for a reward, a purpose, or a goal, but you don't necessarily enjoy the activity itself. So once you obtain the reward, you hit your goals, or you get used to the reward, it becomes stale, people stop coming and they stop doing the desired behavior. So this is usually good for attracting people to try out your experience, but it's not good for keeping them in because the moment they get the reward, they're gone, right? Unless you keep giving them better and better and better rewards. Whereas the right brain core drives deal with intrinsic motivation, things you just enjoy doing to the point that you're even willing to spend money just to experience it. And even if you lost all your progress the next day, you still want to do these activities because that's how we measure our quality of lives. How much time we just spend on things we enjoy doing. Even if we lost our points badges, NFTs, our certificates, we would still hang out with our friends, play basketball, use our creativities and whatnot. So this is good at keeping people in the ecosystem. They don't want to just get the reward and run. They want it to last forever, so they keep contributing into the system. So a lot of times we want to think about left brain or right brain, extrinsic or intrinsic. A lot of companies like extrinsic because it's easier. Just put a reward on activity you want people to do. But it's very rewarding to make it intrinsically enjoyable, so they actually just want to stay there and contribute. Now, the top and the bottom are different too. Top ones, we call them white hat motivation core drives. If you're always doing something because you feel like you're part of something bigger than yourself, you're changing the world, you're getting close to your faith, and you're also improving yourself, achieving mastery, using your creativity, it feels great. The problem is that you feel fully in control. So there's no urgency and you procrastinate. And what we end up doing a lot is the bottom one, the black hat activities. So if you're always doing something just to avoid a loss, just because you can't have something, or just because you don't know what's going to happen next, it's still extremely powerful in motivating our behavior, but in the long run, it could leave a bad taste in the mouths because we feel like we're not in control of our actions. Right? So white hat makes people feel powerful, in control, they feel good, no urgency. Black hat makes people feel urgent, obsessed, even addicted, but they could burn out. And the reason why black hat drives this is because it's tied to our survival instincts, right? Going after, like avoiding danger, going after scarce resources, exploring new lands. So this helps us survive, but if we're always just driven by that, we feel like, wow, I don't get to just sit down and focus on things that make me a better person and whatnot. So white hat core drives are good for community management, loyalty programs, creative workplaces, marketing that inspires people so they all want to work with you, but they don't sign up, right? So black hat is good for one-time transactions. You want people to sign up, download the app, pay you money, give you their credit cards, or short bursts of activities. Like a one-week competition is fun, but a year-long competition burns people out. And so this leads to something I call the data illusion, which is when people are very focused on data-driven design, right? They're focused on data way too much, too closely. They tend to go more and more black hat because black hat drives urgency, right? The moment you say, hey, if you do this, you'll be punished. Hey, if you have to wait 10 minutes before you can take the next step, people get sucked into it. And you'll see the behavior happening, and you're going to go more and more black hat, but you'll realize people don't enjoy the experience, and in the long run, they will burn out. Just like some old Zynga games where people are addicted for 7 months, and then they completely burn out, they don't want to go back to it. So it's important to look at the data, but also understand the nature of the motivation. Are people actually feeling good, and is it sustainable? But just because we call it black hat, sometimes means it's a very positive thing when it's something people already want to do, right? If it's some people want to go to the gym more often, eat healthily, people are happy with this. So this is a funny example where it's an alarm clock, where every time you press the snooze button, it destroys your money. So you're waking up because of core drive 8, loss and avoidance, right? You don't want to lose money, so you wake up. But you're okay with this because it's a goal you want to accomplish. You want to get up. What people don't like is when marketers, employers, governments, educators, parents use a lot of black hat strategies to get people to buy things they don't need, to work overtime without proper compensation, and get manipulated. And a lot of them will still do this, but in the long run, people burn out. Employees leave the company, customers buy from someone else. Sometimes children run away from home when the parenting strategy is too black hat. But again, if it's a goal you want to do already, you're happy about it. That's why some people pay their gym trainers to call them losers, right? You're doing push-ups like, why are you so weak, right? And you later say, hey, thank you so much for pushing me harder than I can ever push myself. So black hat has that effect. So once you understand what motivates your customers right now and how you want them to be motivated, that's when you go to the outer layer and think about what are the game design techniques that you should implement. Could be points or badges or group quests or Easter eggs, but the key thing is that just because you have these game elements and techniques doesn't mean you have these core drives. You could have badges, but people don't feel accomplished. You could have social buttons and features, but people don't feel socially connected or appreciated. So it's the most important thing is whether you can bring out these 8 core drives. So we're going to go through this very quickly because of time. So once you have this framework, then you can start analyzing how different things are engaging. LinkedIn is very left-right oriented, extrinsic motivation. There's different apps like Forest, so you can just start looking at how is something more white hat or black hat, intrinsic, extrinsic. You can also push it another level through the player's journey. So we have discovery phase, onboarding phase, scaffold, and endgame. And you can see how motivation changes through their journey. What motivates them to sign up? Is it curiosity? Is it because they're friends, social influence? Onboarding, what makes them want to go through day 1 and week 1? Is it because they feel smart or they start collecting something? Scaffolding is when people come in once a day, once a week, once a month, or 10 times a day, whatever your design is. And it's about what core drive motivates them. and endgame is what keeps them in the system for the long run, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And so for every step, we think about what among those core drives motivate them. And remember, without these 8 core drives, there's zero motivation, right? They don't even go to the next phase. They just drop out. So you want to make sure there's at least some blue area in this chart so that people move to the next phase. And then in the long run, when you master that, you can start applying it to different player types. You can look at things that say, hey, people who like to achieve, they're going to go through discovery, onboarding, but scaffolding phase, they drop out. People who love to explore, they'll sign up because they're curious, but onboarding is confusing, so they're gone. Maybe socializers don't even want to join because there's no socializing features advertised. And if you're the killer, which is the competitive type, maybe they're the people who, in this random example, go through discovery, onboarding, scaffolding, endgame. In the endgame, they're like pwning the noobs and whatnot. So anyway, that's the Octalysis Framework. I know we're quite over time, so if you're interested, you can check out yukaisha.com/books. And feel free to check out Octalysis Prime to learn a bunch more of this content. And if you would like today's slides, you can go to hitmeup.ai/yukai. That's my AI assistant that manages all my inbound flows. Thank you very much.